Hi, welcome to Learning Monkey. I am Raghu here. In this class, we will discuss about conditional statements in Java. That is if, else and elseif. In our previous classes, we already discussed about variables and data types. Please watch those classes and come back here. The link for the playlist is provided in the description below. Coming to today's class, these conditional statements are very important to understand. In this class, we are going to understand how conditional statements we have to write and the execution flow. That is what we are going to understand in this class. In our next classes, we are going to do some examples on conditional statements so that you will have a better practice how to use these conditional statements. Coming to today's class, so these are the basics: public static void main. This is where the Java execution starts from, and in our previous classes we discussed that execution goes on line by line. First line it will execute, then second line, next third line, fourth line, fifth line, sixth line. This is how it is going to execute. Remember this point. This is very important to understand the execution flow. Then only we can write the code easily. If you understand the execution flow, that helps you a lot in writing the code. That's why our concentration is much on how this conditional statements executes. So int a is equal to 20, b is equal to 30. We have taken two variables. If you want to write a conditional statement, we go with the syntax called if, open brackets, closed bracket. In this brackets, we have to write the condition. We can write any condition. For simple understanding, we have write the condition a less than b. A is 20, b is 30. 20 less than 30. Is it true or false? Yes, 20 less than 30. It is true. In our previous classes, when we discussed this operator, relational operator, when after executing this operator, if this condition 20 less than 30, if it is true, what will be there here? True value will be there. If this condition is false, here false will be there. That is what our relational operator executes, and after executing that is the output. It is going to remain at this position. So how relational operators, hoping that you already know that relational operators. So if a less than b, in this bracket we have to write the condition. If this condition is true, then open brackets, closed bracket, whatever you have write in between this we call it as body of the if. Means if this condition is true, it is going to execute the body. So we have written one conditional statement. Which one is simple conditional statement? If condition. If condition is true, execute this body. Whatever written between open brackets and closed bracket, this is what we call it as body of the if statement. So if condition. So simply if you write it as if, simply write it as true. Yes, it will consider it as the condition as true. And it will go into the body and it will start executing the body. So what happens if the condition is false? If a less than b, a is 40, assume that a is 40, b is 30. 40 less than 30, condition is false. If the condition is false, it is not going to execute the body. The execution jump from here to out of the if statement. After if statement, we are having one statement, System.out.println of outside if. It is going to execute this. After if, whatever the statements we have written here, it keeps on continuing executing the remaining statements. This point is very important to understand. For the beginners, they will get confused. If condition is false, it is not executing the body and it continuing executing the remaining statements. If condition is true, it is going to execute this body. After that, it is going to continue executing the remaining statements, whatever they are outside the if condition. So that is how it is going to execute. So if a less than 20 less than 30, this condition is true. System.out.println of 20 less than 30. This is the output. Then a is incremented to 21. After that, it is going to execute the remaining statements after the if statement. What are the remaining statement? System.out.println of outside if. So what is this program is going to output? 20 less than 30 a is equal to a plus 1, so it is going to update a to 21, then it is going to display outside if. So your output is 20 less than 30 outside if. If the condition is false, what is your output? It is going to display only this statement outside if. It is not going inside the if condition. Okay, now coming to the next statement, if else statement. Above we used simple if condition. You can write if else conditions. So it is very easy to understand once you understand if condition. If you have written a condition, the body of if, open bracket, closed bracket. After closing the bracket, immediately if you have written else, what's that says? This else belongs to this if. Again, for else, open bracket, closed bracket. In this brackets, whatever you have written, that is what the body of else. This is body of if. If condition satisfied means if condition is true, it is going to execute this body and it is going to execute this body. After that, it will not go to the else body. Only one of this body will get executed. If condition is true, this body will execute. If condition is false, else body will get executed. That is what if else condition means. After executing if else, it keeps on continuing the remaining statement. Don't forget this. After completing of if else, it keeps on continuing the executing the remaining statements. It will continue executing the remaining statements. If condition is true, then it will execute this body, then remaining part after else. If condition is false, it will execute the else body and continue executing the remaining statements after else. This is how if else statements will get executed. Once understand, in this example, if you take a is equal to 20, b is equal to 30, what is the output? 20 less than 30, condition is true, then it is going to execute this. 20 is equal to 20 plus 1 is 21. System.out.println of, that is, I have written in the shortcut, display a, which is 21 less than 30. So this is the output. After that, system.out.println of outside if else statement. This is the output you are going to display after displaying this. So let's take one more example. A is equal to 40, b is equal to 30. If condition is false, it is going to execute the else body. A is equal to a minus 1, 40 minus 1, 39. So system.out.println of 39 greater than or equal to 30. After that, outside if else, it is going to display. This is how if else statements are going to execute. So if you understand how this execution is done, in next examples are very easy to write the code. Now third one is if else. Suppose when we are going to use this if there are any sequence of if conditions you have to check, then we go with if. Let's try to understand the if a less than b. This is one condition. If this happens, execute this block of code. Otherwise, we need to check one more condition, a sequence of conditions if you want to check. Then we have to write if elseif. If this condition is true, it will execute this block of code. Otherwise, it is going to check next condition, else if this condition is true, it is going to execute this block of code. Otherwise, if you write next one more else if, it is going to check next else if condition, next else if condition, next else if condition. That is how it is going to check step one by one. First if condition, if condition, if it is false, next if condition, if it is false, next if condition, if it is false, next if condition. That is how it is going to check one by one. So if this condition is true, what happens? How it is going to execute? If this condition is true, it will execute this block of code and it is not going to check remaining else if conditions. It will stop here. It is not going to check remaining else if conditions and it is not going to execute else body also. This is how if are going to execute. So if this condition is false, then it is going to check the next if condition. If this condition is true, it will stop here. It will execute this block of code and stop here. It is not going to check the remaining else if and else conditions. Else, wherever it is true, it is going to stop there. If this is false, if this condition is false, if all the if conditions are false, then it is going to execute the block of code which belongs to else block. If all the if conditions are false, then only else block will get executed. This is how if, else if, else if, else if, else. All the if conditions are false, then only it is going to execute else block. This is how it is going to execute. If you understand this execution, when we do some examples, writing the code is very easy. In many of the situations, we are going to use these conditional statements. Without these conditional statements, we cannot write even a single code. Whatever the coding you write, definitely you are going to use these conditional statements. Any one of the conditional statements. According to our situation, we are going to use this conditional statements. Hope you understand these conditional statements. If you have any questions regarding the concept, please post your questions in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe to our channel and press bell icon for the latest updates. Thank you.